Well, I didn't have time to write an introduction, and the last second I picked up my notebook and I turned back this many pages, in my current notebook. So it's not that far. This end from the beginning exists, having been completed before the existence of this same world's creation. If you ever stop maintaining your personal moral high ground, forgetting you once professed Christ, nothing could possibly explain that madness. The one point is to build faith given by grace, by the Most High Creator Spirit God, a living word defining right and wrong. And then I added, I need help planning a vision quest. Yesterday, the video that was taken down, not because of YouTube, but because the people of the new water studies, Gerald Pollack, some of the most important work in the world, building on Dr. Schauberger's work with the blessing of his family, now charging a fortune, must have the algorithm of their own that says they're using my video. They called the girl that is our reader clairvoyant, possibly I called her a witch. Now comes pestilence. It was waiting patiently. It is the opposite of getting a reward from Christ. Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. Many of the mud flooders get the shadow ban and have to deal with that. Some people do, some people don't. But I was showing the thing. I'll show it again. I show the thing. I showed it twice. Before I show you the pictures, I'm going to show you what I got from the YouTube here. Video's blocked. Your video now comes judgment's pestilence. It's blocked. Copyrighted content has been detected. I thought once you show the thing and you're making commentary on it in a newsworthy type analytical thing, you're good. This has happened before. Blocked globally. Sometime early this morning while Do Re Mi was going night night. So what can you do? Edit it out? Submit a dispute? They re-upload the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose edit out the segment. Am I sharing the screen? Looks like it. Because there was so much good content before the 36-minute mark. And it looks like I finished with it about 43 minutes. So I'm going to leave it up there because I like the, content used, H2O, the intelligence of water. So let's look ahead at 41. Yep, it's the hot tub thing. They didn't like that. Let's see what else we got. I got some pictures. Did you see that picture of the gender dysphoria thing going on? And the world's largest nugget is going on sale in Arizona. The largest nugget that still exist that hasn't been melted down. This is called the Boot of Cortez. $1 million, over $1 million in the gold in it. My thing is, I think it was a living part of a Titan. This is their electrical firing points. Like, and the more, if you want more, so you could be more in touch electricity wise, the Bible says, do good works in the name of Jesus, and you build up gold, silver, and precious stones. And that's your treasure that you carry with in your heart. Look at the way these things are. This was a firing, working, ready to shoot out. It's 3% quartz. It must have a matrix. That's what the matrix is, rock. You are a living stone. Maybe if you didn't try the 1990s soul patch, you would have got away with being a girl. What the heck, dude? Look at all those medals you had to surrender because of the you just had to do the soul patch thing, huh? So they had a 8th grader working for NASA posing with, look at all of the instructions. This is how we went to the moon. Wonder what all these, can any of you hackers figure out that? Go into the moon. Yikes. This thing goes on for miles, and these people were trying to run away. Get out of the city. We're going to bomb it. So they did, and then they bombed the people fleeing from the city and then bombed it. Bad United States. Bad murdering. Don't murder people on the highway of death anymore. Huh. It's not that long ago. I was born the next year. My brother RJ, he was already 27 years old. Or his 1-year-old. This is from the United States. Because, the Pearl Harbor thing only happened in December 1941. And so they didn't have time to tell the kids to stop saluting like that. We're not doing it anymore. No, there's no black kids mixed in here. This is a white world. This was the white world that they're covering up, that it was a white world. Huh. There's something else I was looking at today when I was going to be like, I'm mad they took down my video. I'm going to make a video about that and put it back up. Ending the Depression, that 1929 through 1942, when the war ended everything. Ending the Depression through planned obsolescence. What a sad thought. But they did it. But the look at that honeybee influencer. What's changed? They're telling the people, hey, look, the man has captured a queen. There is going to be a new colony. We have it going on. Mounted on, I guess, 6 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 14. Maddie told Hattie. That's he's the influencer right there. See that posture stretched out. Was that my last picture? I guess I have to go and see what else is going on here. I'm going to do this later so as to not interfere. On the road again. Oh, man. No kidding. Well, I'm praying for you. Let's see what we got here. I watched twice, but I have to say I am impressed. It made me think of the Mark II computer. It was open Gangan style that got you taken down. No, I said, I'll have to go back and double check, Jackson, because I only checked the earlier ones. That's uh I have that.
Gives you.
Hey, don't play it. No, it's only that Dr. Pollock. See, because I constantly am showing clips. I'm the clip shower and commenter. Gosh, this guy, looking at him, it's kind of like the guy, that you would not choose to be on your dodgeball team, right? So I show clips like this one. I'm going to show this one now. This girl was reading, and it's very interesting.
Ruins of majestic cities and magnificent temples and altars with beautiful works of sculpture, tastefully wrought. Places adorned with paintings, colors chiefly sky blue and light green, which show by their richness and elegance to be the work of highly cultivated people. These ruins, majestic and beautiful in appearance, but overgrown with thick forests of mahogany and cedar of immense dimensions and great age, prove to the world that a great empire existed here at a very remote period of time, and that this empire teemed with an immense population, a people skilled in the mechanical arts and in an advanced state of cultivation. The most extensive ruins are to be found at Uxmal and Palenque in the southeast of Mexico. At Uxmal are immense pyramids coated with stone and quadrangular stone edifices and terraces. The highest of these pyramids is 180 feet, and the summit it supports is a temple. On one of the facades of the temple are 4 human figures, cut in stone with great exactness and elegance. The hands are crossed upon the breast. The head is covered with something like a helmet. About the neck is a garment of the skin of an alligator, and over each body is a figure of a death's head and bones. At Palenque, a city of great extent, are immense ruins with the remains of a royal palace. One temple, that of Copan, 520 feet by 650, and supposed to have been as large as St. Peter's at Rome. Another temple of great dimension is here, having an entrance by a portico 100 feet long and 10 feet broad. It stands on an elevation of 60 feet. The pillars of the portico are adorned with hieroglyphics and other devices. Different objects of worship have been found, representations of the gods who were worshipped in this country. These temples, with 14 large buildings and many other objects of curiosity, stand here as monuments of ancient greatness to remind us of the remote origin of a mighty empire. The city's been described as the Thebes of America, and travelers have supposed that it must have been 60 miles in circumference and contained a population of 8 million souls. Centuries have elapsed and dynasties succeeded each other before such orders of architecture were introduced, and a great length of time must have passed before an empire would become sufficiently
Largest
powerful
nugget ever found
to
in
erect such
Australia.
temples and possess a city of such vast extent. In looking back to the past, we feel interested in the imagination that this people once, in the noonday of glory, enjoying all the fruits and luxuries of an advanced civilization. But when we behold these ruins, a melancholy reflection must at once seize our minds. On the ground, where once nations met in their strength and power, wild beasts now roam, and venomous serpents wend their way. And over these vast cities, where once busy hum of industry and the voice of merriment resounded, grows a vast cedar on whose branches the owl chatters discordant notes and the bat sleeps at meridian. In this country is exhibited the largest pyramid in the world, that of Colula near Puebla. It covers 44 acres and is 200 feet high, and its summit was a temple, and in the interior has been discovered a vault roofed with beams of wood containing skeletons and idols. Several smaller pyramids surrounded this large one. It appears to have been formed by cutting a hill into an architectural shape. Its dimensions are immense, being nearly 3 miles in circumference.
So they found the things, everybody knows it. A brimstone hoax from his system Natura. They're born to lie. And it, 1711 when I'm telling you the book of Daniel points to being the Satan being loosed. They call the short season. That's our mud flood was Armageddon tie-in. They fake it. They fake the girls. This is the same thing. A man used the oil paints, but for years they thought, oh man, this guy had the one and only, and everybody used it as some sort of an example of something. Look at that. That's the most killing machine ever made. Besides that one, and that looks pure and peaceful. Are these all faked? What was this? The brimstone hoax. One of the species described in this book at the start was based on a specimen, black spots, apparent blue moons on the lower wings. The hoax was discovered when one Freemason told another Freemason someone's trying to pass off the common brimstone butterfly as something special. And, the rich people back then had a lot of things. They were really into studying and collecting these things. They couldn't get enough of them. So I thought that was weird. No way. Tell me it's not true.
First page to the last is terrifying.
So yesterday I came to the realization my students can't read.
Read the book, so they were actively trying not to read anything. I started reading to them, which definitely did help. But when you're not reading, you're also not expanding your vocabulary, and the way that you communicate also narrows as well. And another factor that I started to notice, especially around like 2022, was a lot of students just don't care. And that's heartbreaking. If parents did, so why even try? And of course, I did all my usual pep talks, and I try to encourage them in tangible ways. But when they have that feeling in high school, and when education isn't valued or pushed at home, that's a deadly
commercials. They are glued to a screen 24/7 with instant gratification. They don't know how to be bored. They don't know how to use their imagination. In return, they cannot hold a conversation, which plays a part in reading and writing, whether you believe that or not. They cannot hold a steady conversation. They do not know how to be bored. They do not know how to use their imagination. They need something.
You just said that.
They're, older than what they are. 3. Hate to say this, but parents who do not want to take accountability. Okay.
Well, they're busy. They're busy that day. What do you got, girl? This is short and sweet.
Reading.
Everybody wants to bash on Gen Z, but did you guys know that Gen Alpha can't read? I was talking to one of our church kids, and he very boldly told me, yeah, I don't know how to read, and neither does anybody in my class. Mind you, this kid is starting 5th grade in August, okay? And I thought he was playing, so I told him, kids will do anything for money. So I was like, I'll give you $10 if you could tell me what this bag says. It said chips in giant letters. And I said, you could sound it out. You could try spelling it or whatever to help you read it. Because I thought he was lying. So this dude goes, CHIPS. And I go, what does that say? And he goes, potatoes. Y'all, we're cooked as a society.
I did not realize how bad the iPad kid epidemic was until yesterday. We've all heard of the issues with these kids that are being raised on iPads.
Hey, nobody can believe the kids can't read, man. That's just not good. So everything's a lie. This is a long show, a compilation of things that are lies. This was a
And
lie.
a few regulators were wounded and escaped or were captured. The following day, Seven Rivers members Tom Green, Charles Marshall, Jim Patterson, and John Galvin were killed in Lincoln, but Billy and his men apparently also shot at U.S. soldiers while shooting at Dolan and his men.
And like everything else, that's the reason they had to go somewhere. And now you can go visit it as a tourist, but rumors persist. He's still alive.
It was Billy the Kid. Garrett also stated that he filed the report officially, as being a death certificate was required. But according to the New Mexico Secretary of State in 1949, Alicia Romero, there is no record in this office of any coroner's verdict in the purported
Mark Twain's a thing, but they're talking about the West here. Who's this guy?
8 or 9 inches tall, slightly built and lithe, weighing about 140, a frank, open countenance, looking like a schoolboy, with the traditional silky fuzz on his upper lip, clear blue eyes, with a roguish snap about them.
Boy, everybody knows his name. So there's Billy the Kid. Give me some. Who else is this guy? I hit go.
Alexander Franklin Frank James was born January 10, 1843, and Jesse Woodson James was born on September 5, 1847, in Clay County, Missouri, and they had a younger sister, Susan Lavinia James. They were of English and Scottish descent. Their father, Robert S. James, was a hemp farmer in Kentucky and also a Baptist minister before coming to Missouri. After he married his wife, Zerelda, he moved to Bradford, Missouri, bought a 100-acre farm worked by his 6 slaves. An educated man, he helped found William Jewell College in Liberty, Missouri. Robert then headed to California to minister to miners, but died of unknown causes in 1850. Zerelda James later remarried twice, the first to Benjamin Sims in 1852, then following his death in 1855 to Dr. Reuben Samuel. Zerelda and Samuel had 4 children together, becoming the half-siblings of Frank, Jesse, and Susan, Sarah Louisa, John Thomas, Fanny Quantrell, and Archie Payton Samuel. Zerelda and Samuel bought 7 additional slaves who worked on their tobacco farm. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 raised the question of whether slavery would be expanded into the Kansas Territory, which divided the state, and Clay County especially, as most of the residents had Southern roots and allegiances. Many people living in Missouri might...
Well, I think that's pretty good proof that, it's a prop up. It's a story. You're going to learn about it. Like I learned about it. My children learned about it. Billy the Kid. Was it that Emilio Estevez and all that Rat Pack crew?
It can steal millions, and it is all right. They rob the poor and rich, and we rob the rich and give to the poor. On May 27, 1873, the James Younger gang robbed the...
Everything is in the West is, but here's the gunfight era. Here's what you got. Cole Younger gang, they ended up in jail. He looks very respectable, doesn't he? Because it was the golden age. Who are these guys?
Were killed. Custer was brought up on charges of abandonment and desertion. He had actually been spending time with his wife. The resulting court-martial found him guilty, sentencing him to 1 year without pay and loss of his command, and he and Libby returned to Michigan. Given the task of quelling the restless natives, Sheridan formally requested that Custer...
Phil Sheridan, burner of... What in the world?
...that sought to punish others out of superstition or a sense of perceived wrongs. These maladies also arrived in the New World and exacted a terrible toll. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Mormons, were no exception, with crimes both perceived...
You talk about the massacre that they did. This was unbelievable. You do it?
...exacerbated by reports of prominent Mormon Parley P. Pratt's murder in Arkansas on May 13, 1857. Now, anyone entering Mormon territory was immediately suspected of being a spy and working for the federal government. He had previously encouraged his fellow Mormons not to trade with the Baker-Fancher party in charge. Despite the vast amount of evidence, including examining the bodies that were exhumed and testimonies from interrogations, most of those men responsible evaded justice. Smith himself concluded by June 1858 that the Mountain Meadows Massacre was the work of the Paiute Indians responding to the poisoning of their water by the immigrants, which was refuted. Regarding Young, his response to the messenger may in fact be true, but there is
They killed them all.
no change everything. The Baker-Fancher wagon train, organized by Alexander Fancher and John Baker, comprised around 137 men, women, and children, and departed from Kansas in April 1857 bound for California. Upon reaching Utah in August, they knew nothing of Young's proclamation forbidding passage without a permit or the rising tensions. When they arrived, they were not welcomed, and
When they arrived to the temple, the buildings, it's all fake rewrite. Not that they didn't kill these people. They had to set it up. But notice their grammar on the writing on the stores. Where's the U's that are spelled with V's, like courthouse, and the other anomalies with the English language that was going on until the early 1900s. And then these guys, whoever heard of Quanah Parker?
his brother and his father Peyton Acona were not at the battle at all, that they were at the larger camp miles away.
Oh, you better get
and
an
that Peyton
intro to
Acona died
Quanah.
years later of illness caused by wounds from battles
His
with the
mom
Apache.
got
What is
kidnapped.
unclear is how many participants were involved on both sides, whether everything possible about the massacre. Historians in the church history department scoured archives throughout the United States for historical records. Every church record on the massacre was also opened to scrutiny. In 2008, authors Ronald W. Walker,
Yeah, they
Richard
finally
E. Turley
admit it. We're
taught
sorry.
the gospel of Jesus,
We want to hear about Quanah
gospel,
Parker.
having never lost a major battle. What prompted Parker to bring the Comanches into the Christian religion and establish a church? Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former soldier, Marine Corps.
There he is, man. This is the guy right here. He's in the Marines, in the Army, and I don't think he's ever said, "Don't show my videos." Appreciate that, Colin. I'm on a got someone I admire greatly about the fourth phase of water is just took down one of my videos.
Sniper, history professor, historian, and book author. And we've answered these questions and other issues on this segment of Forgotten History.
Quanah Parker. We're not going to watch the whole thing. Look at that headdress.
Quanah Parker was the son of Chief
You know
Peyton
why he's the last Comanche chief? I'm just going to spoiler alert it. The United States government called him the last Comanche chief after he got people out, finally got, on board with the, transition schools, boarding schools, orphan train.
Acona of the Kawahati Band, and Cynthia Ann Parker,
There
a white
she
woman
is.
captured as a child by the Comanches.
Poor
Quanah
girl.
later, as an adult, adopted his mother's maiden name. Quanah's mother, Cynthia Ann Parker, was the daughter of white settlers who had built a compound called Fort Parker on the Navasota River in east central Texas. In May 1836, Comanche and Caddo warriors raided Fort Parker and captured 9-year-old Cynthia Ann and her little brother John. Tall and muscular, Quanah became a full warrior at age 15.
Wow.
A series of raids established his reputation as an aggressive and fearless fighter.
Sometimes
became a-
they start designing buildings that, anyway, he grew up, his mom got she didn't want to go back. She was happy being a Cherokee.
Wished to go, but she was compelled to return to her former family. She became something of a public curiosity and was placed on public display. As one account described, she stood on a large wooden box and was bound with rope. She made a pathetic figure as she stood there, viewing the crowds that swarmed about her. The tears were streaming down her face, and she was muttering in the Indian language. Her case became famous, and the Texas legislature, upon hearing of her story, authorized a $100 annual grant payment for 5 years. However, she withdrew from white society and fell into a deep depression, which grew worse after the death of Prairie Flower in 1864 from scarlet fever. Cynthia Ann Parker died in 1871 from self-induced starvation and influenza. Battles were required to curb the Indian power by mid-November. Following a year of battles in which his men were never truly defeated, but which finished Comanche power, Quanah Parker concluded that fighting against the whites was a losing proposition. Quanah Parker's surrender at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, to American authorities in
Hey,
1875.
that's where they whipped me into shape on how to be a surveyor for the. I got suckered into joining the military. I'm not proud of it, but I did get suckered into doing it. And they did teach me trigonometry.
Was a turning point, not just for the Comanches, but for him personally. He and his band of 100 Coatis settled down to reservation life, and Quanah promised to adopt white ways. When he surrendered, government agents from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, probably recognizing Quanah's innate intelligence and leadership abilities, designated him.
Isn't that the way they go? Last one. Who's it? Go.
The year before, and it became part of a collection assembled by George Krager. Now, Krager was a Lakota interpreter for the Buffalo Bill Wild West show, and he offered his vast collection of Indian curiosities to the Glasgow Museum. See our video. In 1872, they convinced Cody to star in Button Lyne's drama, The Scout of the Prairie. Although he was not a trained actor, he managed to become a superb showman and ringmaster, launching what would become a 45-year career in show business.
If you wonder how you convince a generation of the Old West, that's how.
He performed his shows during the winter months and continued scouting for the Army during the warmer months, such as spring, summer, and fall, as well as escorting hunting parties and wagon trains to the west. Cody's legend grew as he wore his flamboyant theatrical clothes into battle and on missions, later donning the same outfit to recreate his attacks on stage. He definitely stood out. In 1883, Cody, with the help of producer and partner Nate Salisbury, organized his own Wild West
It's
show.
how they
This would become the most famous traveling
how they
outdoor entertainment business
brainwashed
in
them
history, with a massive
believing it.
cast offering
They were,
numbering over
you're not in
400
the middle
people.
of a reset where Satan's loose.
The audiences around the world loved the imagery, including fancy shooting, hard-riding cowboys, and Indians in mock fights, along with
Look, Mom, this must be the real modern age. So we looked up looks like Jesse was into something, that whole crew is. I wanted to look up this verse in Luke chapter 1, make sure I am still sharing the screen. That's good. This word didn't make sense in this type of a situation to me. So you can see I did what I do. I'm there like, well, I'll look at that word, but I should share the verse with you in the context of the verse. So let's start it. It's the Lord himself talking. We'll start in 29. Justifying himself was on the mind of this man who was replying. Jesus is replying, who's my neighbor? He came up with. Verse 30, Creator Lord Jesus, a man, he starts, then he continues, was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among the robbers who stripped him, beat him, and departed, leaving him beat to a pulp, almost dead. Now, by chance, and to me, this is something to think about. A priest was going down that road by chance, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Here we're going to look at the Levite. This is the one that we're focusing on, giving it the context here. When he came to the place and saw him, he passed on the other side. Really? By chance came Huh. Well, you saw I looked it up, right? $32. It's not going to be highlighted anymore, but it's right there. There's really nothing mysterious about the rest of the verse. This isn't really mysterious, I would guess. It is this word. That's what it showed me. You know, I got it in the, what is this, the Blue Letter Bible? You know, I prefer the, huh. Let me take this word here again, make sure I have it copied. So this is what I got, I think, when I put in, here we go. See what we get here. No results. Okay. Exceedingly sorry. In the King James, it's came to pass, be brought, be divided, draw, be finished, be found, be faithful, plus God forbid, grow, happen, partake. Now, I thought this was a solid root word, and it certainly looks like it to me. And where is the, I'm looking for, there's Luke 14. So I'm gonna look into that word some more, because I think everything's, you know, predestined. Nothing. Galatians 5:4. I wanted to look at that. Provoking one another, you know, to not envy, but we should become, because that's the same word, isn't it? And it's used in Galatians and John, that we might be fellow helpers, not desirous of vain glory. Do not, it's not. Okay. Let's see. And here's the picture again of that. This is an electrical firing point in a body. I think that they had to be saved by thinking, you know, in the Armageddon, not Armageddon, but Noah's flood. I should have listened to Noah, because they were killed by an electric glittering sword. It says they perished in the flood. I don't think it says they drowned. And they are stones now, reserved in judgment.
Influencers. And they all went into the hive. We have a better day. Oh, look what happened here. Somebody showed up without groceries and tried to join. You have to be a member of this colony, or you have to bring in groceries if you want to be accepted. And this individual is not acceptable. So
that is definitely not an influencer. This is an influencer.
That's good news. Look, I picked up an influencer. Might even be the same poser that was out there on the hive, on the bucket, on the Queen Excluder before. looks familiar. I'm sure that's 9,752. That's her name.
She's
Pretty fanning.
influencing.
They're going in. We win. Look, our influencers are better than their influencers. And they all went into the hive. We have a better day. Oh, look what happened here. Somebody showed up without groceries and tried to join. You have to be a member of this colony, or you have to bring in groceries if you want to be accepted. And this individual is not acceptable. So they're tossing her out. That's it. The bull.
Wow. What it all comes down to is there's going to be some that are faithful, and by it happening to be there at the right place at the right time, you were on your knees, God changed your heart. You believed he rose from the dead. You believe he's God of the universe. You confess it with your mouth. Hi, Mom. Guess what? Because the whole thing is it's all a joke, or it's not. They don't even tell you how, the relationship to being born again isn't where you make a decision. Did you make a decision to be born? That's the analogy. Some people are born of the Spirit. Many are called, few are chosen. What you need to do is die in faith. That's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Me and my friends are never going to tell you anything else except it's very important you understand it's flat earth nation, golden age is past, mud flood was Armageddon. Your parents and grandparents were either in on it or they were sheeple like us who had to count on being changed by the Spirit. There's no other explanation. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakamain. Adios, amigos. Reporting on the judgment that nobody likes from the border of southern Colorado and New Mexico. That's how I like to say goodbye.